Good morning and welcome to the morning edition of NBT World Brief. I'm Surapal Lautaranarit. Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul says Thailand is acting solely to defend its sovereignty following recent cross-border attacks and does not need to clarify its actions to the United Nations. Mr. Anutin said Thailand's actions are strictly aimed at protecting national sovereignty, stressing there is no need for further clarification, as evidence clearly shows BM-21 rockets were launched from the Cambodian side. His comments came after the UN office in Geneva posted a message urging countries facing violence to cease hostilities, mentioning both Thailand and Cambodia.
ประเทศไทยเรารักษาอธิปไตยของเราครับไม่ต้องชี้แจงหรอกครับภาพมันชัดเจนอยู่แล้วมี M21 มานี่มาเป็นซีรีส์มาเป็นชุดเลยไทยยังไม่เคยไปทำอะไรประเทศเขาเลยนะครับมันชัดเจนอยู่แล้ว
Today, the Prime Minister is set to hold discussions with the National Security Council following earlier meetings with security agencies. The talks will focus on proposed measures to intercept maritime shipments of military supplies, the seizure of Chinese-made anti-tank guided missile systems in the Hill 500 area, and reports of Cambodian spies and mercenaries infiltrating Thai territory. The National Security Council agenda also includes measures to tighten controls and restrict indirect transfers of military-related equipment to Cambodia. Meanwhile, Defense Ministry spokesperson Rear Admiral Surasan Khongsiri provided a timeline of recent events, saying Cambodian forces launched heavy weapons attacks into Thailand's Ubon Ratchathani and Surin provinces Monday morning. He said Thailand was forced to respond, while authorities carried out evacuations and expanded safety zones in parts of Sisakhet province. Mr. Surasan confirmed that Thai forces have now secured full control of the Prasat Tra Kwai area, though clashes continue in surrounding zones as both sides attempt to hold territory.
Across the 7 provinces, right from Ubon Ratchathani down to Trat province, and the fighting is still ongoing across the border, with majority of the areas have been regained by the Thai authorities in terms of regaining our sovereignty from the Cambodian armed forces, and we have been able to push them out. However, we have to remain precautious because some of the areas are still being attacked and fired back by the Cambodian armed forces in retaliation.
Separately, the 2nd Army Region has ordered a halt to the export of all types of fuel, as well as weapons and related materials, through the Chongmek Permanent Border Checkpoint in Ubon Ratchathani province. The order took effect at midnight on December 14th and will remain in place until further notice.
This is a classified information and we cannot disclose that information to the public. However, we deem that according to our intelligence, we have had information telling us that there have been reports of this petrol and armaments actually being used to supply the Cambodian armed forces. And of course, by cutting off this logistical route or supply to the Cambodian armed forces, we deem that it is an attempt and at least a very important step that we could do in order to end the fighting as quickly as possible.
At the Chongmek checkpoint, long queues of fuel tanker trucks were seen waiting to cross into Laos. The fuel is ultimately transported onward to allow border crossing connected to Cambodia, raising concerns over indirect supply routes amid the ongoing tensions. The Public Health Ministry says large-scale mental health screenings are underway, with hundreds of thousands affected by displacement and prolonged stress. Thailand's Public Health Ministry has intensified mental health screenings in 7 high-risk border provinces, as growing numbers of evacuees continue to seek shelter due to the ongoing border situation. Public Health Minister Patana Prompat said that more than 130,000 people have now been screened for mental health conditions. Of those, 1,127 individuals were found to be experiencing high levels of stress, while 156 were identified as being at risk of self-harm. All affected individuals are receiving psychological first aid and will be closely monitored until their condition improves. Mental health screenings have also been extended to medical personnel working in affected areas. Nearly 4,700 healthcare workers have been assessed, with 78 found to be suffering from severe stress. Support measures and follow-up care are in place for all cases. The minister said evacuation shelters have expanded to 996 locations, currently accommodating more than 261,000 people, including nearly 70,000 vulnerable individuals. Medical and public health teams are rotating around the clock at shelters, providing healthcare services, stress relief activities, disease surveillance, and environmental health monitoring. Meanwhile, 12 public health facilities in risk areas remain closed, with a total of 211 sub-district health centers shut so far. Inpatients transferred to hospitals in safer areas have increased to 742. The ministry added that the national blood supply remains sufficient for about 1 week. But the public is encouraged to continue donating blood through local hospitals as a precaution should the situation worsen. The government says the quick big win economic policy will help keep Thailand's growth on track next year, despite political uncertainty following the dissolution of parliament. The government has expressed confidence that its quick big win economic policies will drive Thailand's GDP growth to at least 2% in 2025. Speaking at the Thailand Confidence 2026 Driving Trust Toward the Future Forum, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Nititan Prapat said that although Parliament was dissolved earlier than planned, key economic measures were already designed to support the economy during the transition period. The fourth quarter outlook is expected to improve, shifting from an earlier projection of 0.3% contraction to growth of at least 1%, helping lift full-year GDP growth to no less than 2%. Mr. Niti summarized nearly 3 months of work by the economic team, noting that without intervention, the economy risks stalling in the final quarter. This led to short-term stimulus measures aimed at boosting purchasing power, including the Half-Half Plus scheme, which has already injected more than 70 billion baht into the economy.
ผมเชื่อว่าสิ่งที่วางรากฐานและทำเสร็จไปแล้วเนี่ยมันจะช่วยเป็นพลังต่อเนื่องแม้วันนี้จะออกนโยบายใหม่ไม่ได้แต่สิ่งที่ทำไปแล้วทำเสร็จไปแล้วเกือบหมดแล้ว 99% เสร็จหมดมันจะมีพลังต่อเนื่องที่ช่วยสร้าง Thailand Confidence ในปี 2026
Mr. Niti stressed that all policies are being implemented under strict fiscal discipline, with adjustments to the medium-term fiscal plan to reduce the budget deficit. He said keeping public debt in check will help maintain Thailand's international credit standing and lay a stable foundation for 2026, which is expected to be another challenging year for both the Thai and global economies. The Election Commission has approved the election roadmap, officially setting the date for the next general election in February next year. The Election Commission has approved the draft plan for the election of members of Parliament, setting Sunday, February 8, 2026, as polling day nationwide. The Commission also scheduled advance voting for Sunday, February 1, 2026, covering in-constituency and out-of-constituency voting, as well as voting at designated polling stations for people with disabilities, the elderly, and those with mobility limitations. Candidate registration for constituency-based MPs will take place from December 27th to 31st, 2025 at venues designated by constituency election directors. Registration for party list MPs will run from December 28th to 31st, 2025 and is open only to political parties that have already fielded constituency candidates. Parties must also submit the names of their prime ministerial nominees during this period. Voter registration for advance voting will be open from December 20th, 2025 to January 5th, 2026. Meanwhile, voters who are unable to cast their ballots on Election Day must notify authorities between February 1st and 7th or from February 9th to 15th, 2026. The Election Commission said the election plan will be forwarded to the Cabinet Secretariat for publication in the Royal Gazette as soon as possible. And that is all for our morning edition of NBT World Brief. You can stay updated with the latest developments and more stories. Simply scan the QR code on your screen to access our full coverage across all media platforms. Thanks for watching. สวัสดีครับ